Hey, what's up, everybody? This is going to be a set of PWG reviews. I want to talk about World's Finest and the much anticipated DDT4 2012, but let's just get World's Finest out of the way first. This is pretty much it's gotten a lot of reviews on YouTube. I mean, there's like maybe 5 or 6 different reviews you could actually look up to see of this show. So it's gotten some pretty good positive feedback. You know, I've heard some mixed feelings on it. Some people think it's average for a PWG show, while other people still thought it was your same old awesome, almost amazing PWG show. So it's kind of mixed, but it's only about 2 hours long. In my opinion, it really came across, it just didn't feel like an important show. It didn't, one of the great things about PWG is, especially last year, I thought they did a great job of making each and every one of their shows feel like they're on the same level. I can't really say the same thing about this one, but it's really short though. It's only 2 hours. There's really no filler on here. I thought everything was at least pretty solid, actually. So the first match of the night that I'll talk about is TJ Perkins versus Scorpio Sky. They had a nice solid match. This is about 3 1/4 stars. Now this is kind of hurt because there was some woman. There's something going on in the crowd which really took away from the match. But, besides that, I mean, you got 2 very, very solid technical wrestlers going at it. They're both very, very well versed in martial arts. Just a lot of good submission wrestling here. I think Scorpio actually busted out a bow and arrow. Then TJ countered that into a Texas cloverleaf. There's a nice running strike. A nice running knee strike from Scorpio Sky. So these 2 guys just had a nice hard-hitting action, a nice solid hard-hitting match with a lot of sweet technical action. I'll give it about 3 1/4. I mean, I think these guys could actually do better if they were in the right, if the right situation came up. But Scorpio Sky, I think he'd be perfect for Ring of Honor. It seems like this guy is mainly just the West Coast guy, and I just get the feeling he's mainly the type of guy that would just wrestle on the weekends and then has some type of other job during the week. I really don't know if he's trying to become, like a full mega, wrestling star. To me, I just think he's the kind of guy that kind of floats around California and just wrestles from indie to indie out there. But Scorpio Sky's a hell of a talent. So good stuff there. Next up, we have the RockNES Monsters versus the Super Smash Brothers versus the Young Bucks. This is a 3-way match. I fucking hated this at first. At first I was just like, oh, it just feels like your typical, PWG indie tag match. But really, I really liked it though, man. It really got going. I think it was player dose. He actually did this awesome spot, and then we had one of the best sequences of the year right after that spot. He jumped off the top turnbuckle, kind of walked across, I think, both guys of the RockNES Monsters, and actually DDT'd one of the Young Bucks. God, that was an awesome spot. And then we just got we got like great action right after that, and it was just a beautiful sequence. All 6 guys got a standing ovation right after that spot. It was awesome stuff. And in this match, you can really see the Young Bucks and the Smash Brothers have a lot of chemistry, and definitely looking forward to them. I think both tag teams actually made it to the DDT4 finals. Yeah, so good stuff there. The RockNES Monsters, I'm not really that passionate about them. I think they work hard. I think they're fun. I think they're good. I think they try really hard. They're not flashy, but, they get the job done. And all 3 teams, this is a nice, small... I really appreciated what they did here. This is like a nice warm-up match for DDT. Really gets you excited for the DDT tournament, showcasing, 3 of the hottest tag teams that are actually going to be in that tournament. So good stuff there. Next up, we had Alex Koslov taking on Kyle O'Reilly. We've seen Koslov from Ring of Honor before. I think he had a match against Bryan Danielson at Supercard of Honor 4. And we've seen him face Rocky Romero at Final Battle. And I would say this is probably the best I've seen him look, actually. Now, Kyle O'Reilly, to me, in PWG, I think he should use PWG as a platform to try to prove himself. Because he kind of separates him from Davey Richards. He doesn't have to worry about, any of the storylines in PWG. I think he should just use PWG as a place to really show that he is really that good. And he is a great wrestler, don't get me wrong. But he reminds me of, like, a hot girl that you just don't like because of her personality is just she's such a bitch and her personality is so bad that, you don't care how good looking she is. You just don't like her. Kind of like that girl, if you saw my Chikara review of Marty Yourself the Caution, kind of the same way I saw that girl that Eddie Kingston crapped on. That girl that I went to school with. I kind of feel the same way about Kyle O'Reilly. I think he's a great wrestler, but his promos and his personality and his demeanor, I'm just not a big fan of it, and it's to the point right now where I just don't really care for him. I think a lot of other people feel the same way. I know Mickey Babylon calls him Fakey Richards, which is pretty hilarious. But yeah, like I said, Koslov looked good here. He actually busted out a surfboard and locked Kyle O'Reilly up on the ropes. That was pretty innovative. You know, we got a lot of great submissions, some stiff action. You know, Koslov actually did a dive into the crowd. A little comedy involved too, with O'Reilly actually went to go grab a beer at the bar because it was St. Patrick's Day, and O'Reilly is obviously Irish. Doesn't get any more Irish than O'Reilly. So there we go with that. I thought this was solid. 3.5 stars. Both guys look good. O'Reilly actually made Koslov tap out after he put him in a front face lock submission. So yeah, good drama there. Next up we had Willie Mack taking on Roderick Strong. This is a rematch from I believe it was Card Subject to Change 3, where both of these guys put on a 4-star match, and this wasn't quite as good. Now for this match, I would have liked to see more build up for the rematch. Really just felt kind of random to me because that match was so good. I would have liked to see at least some type, just a little bit better effort with the promotion leading up to this match. But, you know, this is still good, not quite as good. You know, the commentary was pretty decent here. They were actually talking about how Roderick had to work really hard to get Willie Mack off the mat because he has such a... his core and his center is so thick. So, yeah, just a lot of hard-hitting action here. You know, Willie actually kicked out of the sick kick. And surprisingly, Willie Mack actually got the victory, got a next world champ chant. A good match. I'll probably give it about 3.5 stars. Like I said, you know, it didn't really capture the same kind of holy fuck, holy shit, you know, stiffness and intensity that the first match had. But, you know, this was still really, really solid stuff. Willie Mack got a next world champ chant, like I said. And, really, you know, I really feel like PWG needs to put the belt on him. You know, obviously I think Kevin Steen is hot right now, but I don't think you want to see the same shit that we see in Ring of Honor and PWG. I think at this point now, I think PWG needs to be more of an alternative than Ring of Honor. I know you want to showcase guys like Davey, Eddie, and Kevin Steen, El Generico, but it's at the point right now where I wouldn't even consider those guys really heavy draws, and I think PWG can really make a name for themselves in a different light if you just showcase some of the guys and really don't get a shot in Ring of Honor, like the Super Smash Brothers and like Willie Mack. So we'll see what they do throughout the rest of the year. Next up, the main event, we had El Generico taking on Eddie Edwards, taking on Kevin Steen. Just a 3-way match for the Pro Wrestling Guerrilla World Championship. El Generico is actually the champion here, and Kevin Steen actually won the belt back. Awesome match here. I thought this was really, really solid, actually. Really, I'm definitely going to give it 4 stars. Just a lot of fun. Didn't really try to tell much of a story. We just had awesome action. The spot in the match for me was, and I don't want to make it out to be like I'm just a fan of spots, but just an awesome spot with the German suplex exploder spot when all 3 guys suplex each other. That was awesome stuff. But like I said, just awesome stuff. Guys breaking up pinfalls, hard-hitting action, great stiff shots from Eddie. Steen and Generico worked great together. I thought this was actually a 4-star match. Generico's title reign, it didn't really last that long, but, you know, the PWG Championship doesn't really mean that much. You know, PWG is not really about championships. It's more about just putting on a great show. So there we go with that. I'm going to give the show actually a 7.75. Which is, I think, a little bit higher than what Trademark rated it and some of the other guys rated it. I've seen some people give it 9s or 8.75s. I think it's a little bit too high. It's a very, very short show, but it's good, though. I wouldn't quite recommend it. Not something that I say definitely spend your money on. I mean, it's not really a must-see show. There's nothing on the show that screams must-see, but it is a lot of fun, and you do get you get 2 4-star matches, and you get some really, really solid wrestling from top to bottom. So let's continue with PWG's DDT4 2012. It's here again, yet another DDT4 tournament. I would say that DDT4 is probably the best thing that PWG does. Definitely the best tournament that they do compared to Battle Los Angeles. I think Battle Los Angeles has kind of lost some of its prestige over the years, but it seems like year in and year out, this DDT4 tournament is always amazing. And I don't know if I could say this was the best one so far. It definitely could be. It's not as star-studded as some of the other ones, but I think PWG should say this. I think this is probably, they should feel the most proud of this show because they really didn't have as much talent, and they still managed to put on a show that was pretty much just as good as last year's. I mean, I thought last year's was great with all those great tag teams, but this one might have even been better. Just a little. I think it flowed a little bit better. They accomplished a lot. They pushed guys that needed to be pushed. They pushed Willie Mack. They pushed the Super Smash Brothers. Super Smash Brothers won the tournament. All three of their matches were great. They were all on the 4-star level, and then aside from that, I really felt like this was kind of like the passing of the torch from Steen and Generico to the Super Smash Brothers. You know, they're both from Canada, so they both have that in common. But yeah, overall, man, let's just get right down to it. The Fightin Taylor Boys and the RockNES Monsters. This was so much fun. I wasn't really thrilled about the match on paper, but you know, Brian Cage Taylor really impressed me here. Did a lot of innovative stuff. You know, I think he kind of gets I think he gets overlooked because of his look. He looks like a bodybuilder, but the guy could definitely go. Like I said, you know, the Fightin Taylor Boys and the RockNES Monsters, just a lot of double team maneuvers, hot crowd. You know, it really set the tone for how good the rest of the show was. Next up, you had the Dynasties, Joey Ryan and Scorpio Sky taking on Future Shock, Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly. You know, Cole and O'Reilly fit really well in PWG. I really think it's a great environment for them to really showcase what they could do. Every single time they've really delivered in PWG so far. So, you know, it's kind of like a PWG versus ROH match. This was solid. Just another nice, solid, you know, very crisp tag team match right there. Next up, we had the two husky black guys, El Generico and Willie Mack, taking on Sami Callihan and Roderick Strong. Husky black guys because Generico used to team up with Human Tornado when they were known as the Two Skinny Black Guys. So, yeah, this is Sami Callihan's PWG debut, and him and Roderick Strong, they made a nice combination here. They really went to work on Willie Mack's knee, and Willie was kind of struggling to make the hot tag. He actually pounced, I think it was Roderick Strong, the Monty Brown pounce, sucked it up and made the hot tag to Generico. Generico got the hot tag. You know, Generico was just, God, man, when he got that hot tag, it just felt effortlessly. Like his performance was just, you know, he felt like he was just kind of just doing his thing without even trying, and it was just a beautiful thing to watch. Just an awesome match, awesome spot of the match. I think it was Generico going for the Yakuza. Sami Callihan counters it with the super kick, and then Roger comes out of nowhere and does a backbreaker to him. Crowd started going crazy, and you know, just a nice hard-hitting match. Definitely a nice old school tag team match right there. I believe Generico actually got the win with the Brainbuster. We'll move on to the next match. We have the Young Bucks taking on the Super Smash Brothers. Now, this probably would have been better as the final, I think. You know, the Young Bucks are definitely the kings of DDT4. They won the last 2 out of 3. And they only lost one DDT4 match, which they probably shouldn't have lost in 2010. I think that was a mistake to have London and Generico beat them. But, you know, the Young Bucks and the Super Smash Brothers are going to have plenty of matches in the future. I think they had a match this weekend, which is supposedly awesome. So definitely look out for more stuff between them. But this match was vintage stuff. Definitely one of the best matches on the show. You know, the Bucks had a lot of nice near falls. You know, you really thought the Bucks were going to win, and surprisingly, Super Smash Brothers defeated the Young Bucks and put an end to their you know, DDT4 streak, and we would have new DDT4 champions. So from there, the semifinal match, you actually had the RockNES Monsters taking on El Generico and Willie Mack. This is just more comedy. A lot of fun. You know, still a good match, still a 3-star match. It's probably the weakest match of the night if you're looking at it from a wrestling standpoint. Next up, you had the Young Bucks taking on Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly. I'm just going to say right now, this is the match of the night. 4.25 stars. Both teams rocked the house. All Super Smash Brothers matches were awesome on the show, and definitely this was the best one. Just a lot of drama, a lot of great near falls. Cole and O'Reilly, they both locked on front face locks, looked like they were going to tap, and then the Smash Brothers actually both countered that into Northern Light suplexes, and we had just an awesome finish here with Player Dose going for that flying neck breaker off the top rope. That was an awesome finish. I'd have to say, you know, Player Uno was great, but Player Dose, this guy is... I would say Dose is kind of like a smaller version of Generico, kind of like an unmasked version of Generico. They kind of look alike. They kind of have the same body type, the same skin tone. And, yeah, just definitely think Player Dose proved that he's definitely one of the most underrated guys in the indies. All right, from there we actually had Kevin Steen versus Sami Callihan. This is for the PWG title. Yeah, this is kind of like filler. The PWG DDT4 tag title matches, sometimes they just come off like as you know, filler. They're really not that. You know, this kind of sets up a rematch. It was still good though. Don't get me wrong. Sami Callihan got a standing ovation. You know, it was a very, very stiff match. Steen really tried to brutalize Sami, and I thought it was solid. The one problem with the match is you never really thought the title was in jeopardy. There really wasn't that one moment where you thought Sami was really in control. So that's kind of why the match is kind of flawed, but definitely sets up a rematch. You know, maybe when Sammy gets more rest, you know, he could just focus on just having one title match with Steen, and it could be just because I do think Steen versus Callahan somewhat of a dream match actually, and definitely a nice, not just for a great wrestling match, but just a nice personality clash right there. All right, so next up we had the finals. We had RockNES, not the RockNES Monsters, the Super Smash Brothers, taking on the two husky black guys of El Generico and Willie Mack. Great stuff. Definitely the you know, not the match of the night, but just another 4-star match. Just crazy stuff, crazy action. Just have fun with this match. You know, Willie Mack actually busted out 2 moonsaults on a bad knee. A lot of dives into the crowd. A lot of suicidal offense. Crazy spot in the match. Look at the DDT at the DVD cover, and you could actually see player Dose actually doing an exploder to Generico and tossing him on the Willie Mack. That was probably one of the most memorable spots of the whole night. So yeah, just another awesome ending. There was actually a reverse run off the top rope, which looked brutal. Generico took that brutal bump, and just a lot of great action here. Definitely a 4-star match, and just definitely, like I said, the passing of the torch from Steen and Generico to the Super Smash Brothers. As you guys know, they're both from Canada. They both train together, so it's really, this show really elevated Willie Mack and the Smash Brothers to that next level. So like I said, guys, if you love tag team wrestling, you'll definitely love this show. It's definitely a show of the year contender, and just great stuff. So hope you enjoyed the review, and take it easy.